Good morning, comrades. What is going on here? The new video already mess up? All right, there it is. Good morning, comrades. You are listening to WHIV-LP New Orleans 102.3. This is your weekly Good Morning Comrade. Jeff and Robert here on the show. Back at it again. What's been popping, my dude? How you doing, Robert?
Right now I'm trying to turn my phone down and be a good host.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
You don't want to be having your pill alarms be going on in the middle of the show.
Just here, we're just broadcasting here at the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel great, folks. You know, obviously, we're not even doing a slow creep towards fascism. We are just here, and
we're going fast, baby. Would you rather go slow or would you rather go
fast? Fast. I want it hard. I want it hard and dirty.
Like, I'm like Ricky Bobby over here. I want to go fast.
Yeah, I don't like this like boiling the frog.
Yeah, come on,
stuff. But it feels like we're past boiling the frog. I mean, there's
that frog is cooked.
There's not, like there's military troops on the streets for absolutely no reason, and like the thought police are out, and you can't say free Palestine if you are a natural born U.S. citizen, or you could be deported. So yeah, I mean, fascism is here. It's all the stuff that Alex Jones used to rant about is now here, but now he's fine with it because it's his guy and he makes excuses for it. Yeah, Palantir is now cool with the right wing.
I love that.
But before that, it was, a huge crisis that Michelle Obama was telling your kids to eat a vegetable.
Also, she was a dude, and Barack Obama was secretly gay or whatever. Remember all that?
Yeah, oh no, absolutely.
And also, Michelle Obama was secretly a man. Like the conspiracy theorists have gotten like a lot less. Like they have always been kind of weird, but they're a lot more credible, I guess, now, especially with the Epstein stuff. Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, they're not credible though, because that's kind of the thing that.
Well, they always like find a way, like, even though, like, oh man, they got Trump dead to rights this time. The libs are like, oh yeah, QAnon's gonna turn on them any minute.
Absolutely not.
And like the liberals, I mean, don't realize or don't care is that like an entire cornerstone of the worldview of this stuff is that Trump is the white hat pedophile. Trump is the one that is like the only person that can come in. He's Serpico. He's the one that can go in. He can brave the horrors and terribleness of the system that's deeply corrupt that the Democrats created, which, look, I'm not saying that they didn't. But then also be the only person that can ever possibly fix it. It is crazy how strongman this stuff has gotten.
Nah, I'll say it's not even that deep. I say it's more team sports. To bring it back to New Orleans, it's the Saints and Bountygate, dude. Like
it is team sports, but like the justification, the sort of like internal justification, they do actually at least have to walk those logic paths a little bit, just to sort of like keep the kayfabe up a little bit, and I mean, obviously, I don't expect the mask to stay on in any kind of way, and I don't expect these people to care in any kind of way. But like, yeah, you're right. It is team sports.
Yeah, it's not that deep. To bring it back to New Orleans, something we can all understand here. It's the Saints and Bountygate. Mm-hmm. If Sean Payton was put in, out there in Denver coaching the Broncos, and he put bounties on players and hits on players to hurt them, everybody here would be like, oh, what a dirty cheater. But if it's your guy, then you've got all kinds of excuses and justifications for it. It's the same thing here. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I'm getting pretty black-pilled to where it's like, I think the United States is beyond redemption at this point. If it was ever, and that might be my own naivete thinking that it was ever in a position to be redeemed from its original sin. But I think the idea of we've just gone so far without coming to terms with how this nation was created, who's actually in power and what it really is, with no truth and reconciliation, that's how this stuff is, going on. And, like I said, the dumbest guy, at work is now at work trying to square that circle and defend, international pedophile rings. Mm-hmm. We're shuttling the CIA, and no, not the CIA, when I'm sure they're doing it too. But for a fact, this is not Alex Jones time. This is real happening.
This is reality, baby.
The NSA and the FBI is shuttling around pedophiles to get them out of the country like they're the Catholic Church. So
high-ranking Israeli officials, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what are we talking about? And I don't want to hear this like anti-Semitic garbage of just like, oh, it's because somehow it's Jewish control of the United States. No, they only do what we let them get away with because what do you always say, Jeff? We want an unsinkable aircraft carrier in the Middle East, and we're willing to literally sell out our children's souls, not our souls. We're willing to let these people rape our children to get that. That's how deep the quest for world domination goes. And it's like I'm at a point where I don't see any bottom, and I don't see how this country is redeemable, dude. I just don't. And I'd like to have some hope, but my God, it's like as soon as you think you've hit some kind of bottom, you just find more and more to dig through, and it's disgusting. It's made me like, my wife and I were talking about this just the other day. It's like, she went on her own journey of just like, she has pictures of her and Nancy Pelosi, and now she's just like, she was like the head of like the Young Democrats Club in her college, and now she's like, I think that it doesn't matter D, R, in between, they should all be tarred and feathered. And I'm just like, I voted for Gore under Democrats abroad in Japan while serving the United States Marine Corps. I was an elected delegate for Bernie Sanders, and now I'm to the very marginal right of Mao Zedong. So I'm just like, that's the journey I've taken. And I'm just like, I'm completely embarrassed that I gave 4 years of my life to this country in the United States Marine Corps. It's absolutely disgusting.
You learned something, didn't you, though?
Oh, I learned a lot. I got a lot of good life lessons. I learned how the country actually really works. I learned that socialism works. I learned that communism works because it's the most.
You also learned that the government does communism and socialism already internally.
Exactly.
It's just like only for the stuff that they want it to be about, for like the military and for
exactly.
Giveaways to corporations. I wouldn't necessarily call that communism, but there is sort of government subsidies always just going to industry and never to people. Or so very rarely to people, and those things that do exist. I mean, they just got $800 million for Medicaid. We just talked about that with Mark Allandary. They're taking it away from regular people, the little scraps that we get, and they're giving it to the most powerful, richest people on earth.
No, I mean, you said it, and it's like our birthright, our children's birthright, not just their birthright, but their literal bodies. It's. I hate to say this, dog, as somebody who's not religious, like this feels end times. Like our children are literally being sacrificed to this settler colonial project. Literally, we are sacrificing our children, and we are fine with that because fine with it for what? We as peons sitting here in America as working poor, we don't even get the spoils of the empire. It's not like Rome to where the legionnaires are marching through the street and throwing the plunder, like it's a Mardi Gras float. We get nothing. We get
those guys. One of the key points, like, and being a dork about Roman history for a second, like what the Roman legionaries were fighting for, even like they would at the end of their career get a retirement and a plot in a villa in some freaking colony or whatever. Like that doesn't even happen. Like that just goes to all of the corporate monsters that put us all in the same problems anyway.
No, I seriously, it feels like, to stay with the Rome analogy, it feels like I'm one of the slaves in Rome, and like I don't even know who the barbarians are at this point at the gate. I really can't. They're just these. It's late stage capitalism, if I had to put a word to it.
The barbarians at the gate. I like the barbarians. The barbarians are the immigrants that they're trying to get rid of all the time. The people that actually do all the work around here.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Actual people. I mean, the forces that are actually destroying this country. If
corporations,
corporations, they're at the gates and they're kicking the doors in, and like this is not sustainable. It's like something is going to give, and it's crazy. Like I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if it's we're heading into another recession. How many recessions are we? This probably not even going to be a recession. It's probably going to be a depression. But in our wildest dreams, or our most optimistic dreams, we're heading into a recession. This is going to be, how many recessions now in our lifetimes, and we haven't been alive that long. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's going to be the thing that breaks this country. I don't know if it's going to be social issues, because, like, again, how long can we sit here and be like, we don't have healthcare, we don't have education, our infrastructure is garbage, the roads we drive on garbage. We're literally making it so the richest, most powerful people in the world are now, we're sacrificing our children to them for their own sick, depraved, sexual appetites. And I have to go to work 40 plus hours a week, and people work way more than I do. So that way my tax dollars can go fund Israel. Mm-hmm. Like, at some point, somebody's going to say, hey, dog, this ain't cool. And the way they're going to respond to it ain't going to be cool either. Yeah. And I don't know how that's going to look or what that's going to look like. But if you can't feel that in your bones, I don't know what to tell you, man. But a lot of people are just, again, the thing that's depressing is a lot of people aren't talking about this kind of stuff, and they're just going, it's so much of it's, what's the movie Network, where it's just like, please let me have my steel belted radios, just leave me alone inside my house. And I feel like that is the attitude.
Mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
But they're not mad as hell. They're not. And it's like, that is the attitude of so many people. They're like, well, that's, I nothing I can do about it until it actually affects them.
And then it's not like there aren't off ramps. Again, like, you may think that it may or may not be viable, but like when you do get a Zoran or Omar Fateh in Minnesota or Minneapolis, like, what do the Democrats do other than just undermine that stuff? I mean, Hakeem Jeffries, who's lives in the district of Zohran Mamdani, is like, I don't know if I can endorse this guy who won the Democrat. Remember when I was telling you vote blue no matter who? I was kidding. I was joking.
No, absolutely.
Like, don't vote for this guy because, I get too much money from AIPAC and Israel or whatever. And we will undermine any kind of possible path forward, any kind of positive. Like, the Democrats are polling at like 34% at historic lows. They're like they're the most unpopular party that I can remember. I can't remember a point where the Democrats were less popular other than like right after 9/11, right? And now they're just like, hey, this guy's popular, F him. Like in Minnesota, you know the guy Omar Fateh, right? The DSA guy who won the caucus or the convention that they had for the mayor of the city of Minneapolis, not the biggest city in the world, whatever, but he won the party's rules. Like, you're going to be the nominee now. Just today, as of recording on Thursday, the Democrats found a way to take it away from him, and they're
absolutely. And that doesn't. I didn't even know that. And I have no
rules.
I have no surprise. There's no surprise. I mean, they did it to India Walton. India Walton follows us on Twitter, so big up.
Come on the show, India. We like you.
Yeah, seriously, she's unhinged in the most delightful way, and I love her for it. But no, I didn't know that, and it doesn't surprise me at all. And they're trying to figure out how to do it to Zohran Mamdani right now in New York. You've got Cuomo trying to align himself with Trump, which, again, not surprising. It is. They are the same type of monster, the same type of sex pest, freak. So yeah, it doesn't shock me at all. The thing is, so
can I just say really quickly?
Yeah, please say all the things.
Zohran Mamdani got more votes in the primary than anybody in New York City mayoral primary history. And they were like, you know what? That guy is super effing popular. We got to stop him. Like, that's what the Democrats' instinct, and it's awesome.
Well, what have I always said? The Democrats don't, it's not about winning. Mm-hmm. No. It's about either
cutting off. They're setting the edge. They're trying to say, hey, we can only do this. Great, this is possible. Everything beyond what we green light that's as far radical as you can get. And it's like, basically slightly they're pushing for deregulation of zoning regulations anyway. That's their new flagship for the Democratic establishment. They want to do abundance.
Yeah, because it's not about winning. The Democrats want to do two things.
They want to set the edge.
They either want to be the opposition. If they can't win the way that they want to win, then they want to be the opposition party. They don't want to be in power and actually have to do things. To where the Republican Party wants to be in power and actually do things. And then the Democratic Party just gets to throw up their hands. Well, a hostage deal, say vote for us, or this is what you get. And it's like, as a voter, it's like, why I have no faith in electoral democracy anymore, like at all, because like you said, the Democrats are at a historic low. The Republicans are at a historic low. More people are saying that they're independent. And if your guy does win, they'll just do some kind of
no matter what.
Maneuver. They'll do some kind of, parliamentary maneuver and just take it from them anyway. So what does it even matter? And the thing is, it's not by me not voting. It's not like I'm teaching them a lesson, because they don't care. They either want you to, their thing is, if you're disengaged, good. If you accept the slop that we're feeding you, good. We win either way. So I'm like, what is this game? Like, there's no win condition for the working class here.
I mean, you got to beat them some kind of way. And, the political realm, they're essentially trying to take that off the board. The union realm, they're trying to take that off the board. I mean, they're attacking the National Labor Relations Board. Not that all of unions and all of labor need. This guy I respect actually says that, hey, if they actually do, and I don't think they're gonna. Maybe they will, but I don't think they're gonna roll back the National Labor Relations Board, because if they do, that means the gloves come off for both sides, and we can start laying into them as well on the union side.
I guess, dog.
I don't want them to do it.
I mean, what does that mean? Like, are you talking a general strike? Because do we have the, I'm sorry. I mean, I just don't want to sell people false hope, because it's just
no.
And this is the argument my wife and I get about. And it's like, we have to shame ICE agents. We have to shame ICE agents and cops and all that. And I'm like, okay, you can shame them all day, but that doesn't change the material condition of why they're doing the job. And the thing is, like, with ICE agents now, they're doing a $50,000 signing bonus or some garbage and dropping age restrictions. So it's like the amount of poor people in this country who will sell out their fellow man to try to make ends meet. That's the plan. Like, the plan is to make conditions so bad that it makes fascism inevitable. And you're seeing that right now. So unless we're talking about some kind of, I would love to do a general strike. I would love to have labor, but in case we're talking about a strike fund that can keep people afloat for that, because they will just wait us out. And again, I don't want to be a doomer. I just want actual, like, actionable stuff instead of selling people false hope. My thing with politics right now to have some kind of, like, actionable plan, some kind of light, is to say, like, okay, Zoran Mondani, I've been burnt too many times by a Bernie Sanders or a Fetterman,
AOC.
and AOC. And so I'm not interested in Zoran Mondani. And I don't mean that in an aggressive way. I mean that as I have no emotion towards the man. If he comes in there and he is, he turns New York City into Markistan. Exactly. He turns it into the Paris commune. God bless him. I wish him well. I'll move to New York City myself. I don't want to see the man fail, but I'm ready for him to get co-opted. But the thing that's interesting, the questions that we should be asking as leftists, and especially with the DSA, and instead of saying, like, oh, we're going to try, if you want to run candidates, please don't stop running candidates. We can fire all torpedoes at once. But what I think takes priority over that is to say, okay, the amount of people that voted for this man, they voted for him not because he is charismatic. They voted for him because they wanted real material change. Yeah. So how do we organize people around their wants and around their needs and not around this man? Well, that's where we need to be. That's the problem. That's what happened with Bernie too. And I got swept up in that.
Well, another thing too, and this is another part of not the co-option machine, but more like the diversion machine, because the Democrats are always kind of like looking and saying, like, you know what we need a new Joe Rogan. We need to figure out what happened to get Zoran to win or whatever. Like, how did he win in New York City? We need to replicate that. We need to have a really banger social media strategy that can basically run this campaign, when the reason that, like, I do think that the Zoran Mamdani is, like, social media team or comms or whatever was good, people didn't vote for him because of that. It's like partial reason,
exactly.
like 10% maybe. But like he's running on freezing the rent. He's running on grocery stores that are run by the city. He's running on essentially taxing billionaires and making buses free and stuff that like will actually benefit working people. So if you have a social like a social media strategy or a comms team or whatever it is and roll it out to be like, you know what we really need to do? We need to deregulate zoning laws so that we can have you can have low income housing or have companies build low income housing or whatever the hell. And that's what people care about. People are gonna be like, yeah, piss off. We don't give a damn about that. You know what I mean? Like nobody, even if it was, and I don't believe that it is something that would lower the cost of housing. Nobody, when you talk about zoning laws, people's eyes automatically glaze over. How do you have a conversation with somebody on the subway about like, you know what really bugging me these days is these damn zoning laws?
I was having this quote unquote fight, whatever conversation with just randos online just the other day. Exactly what you're talking about. I was in the Twitch stream, and this guy is it's the middle of the day, and I'm trying to find something to watch at work, and he's doing like leftism, night school, like theory. And I'm just like, who is this for, my dude?
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not going to reach anybody with this. Yes. You're trying to, and I said this in the chat. I said, you're out here trying to teach kindergartners organic chemistry. Well, we haven't even done the let's grow a sunflower in a styrofoam cup experiment yet. Like what are we, like, we have to start with the basics of just like each according to his ability and each according to his need. Instead, until we start talking about ML versus, Marxist Leninism.
So far from needing to be that specific.
Yeah, zero class consciousness. Absolutely not.
I will say this, and we've had our ups and downs with our old pal Ben Burgess. We don't like him sometimes, we do sometimes. He wrote an article in Jacobin that came out today. And people just like the kind of people that have like I'm a Marxist Leninist or I'm a Maoist in the bio or whatever. And they were all pissed off at him because he wrote an article that was titled, "The point of politics is to convince people, not grandstand." I mean, like, that is the most controversial thing you could possibly. Here's a subhead. Instead of trying to persuade hundreds of millions of Americans to our right, sometimes we leftists seem to be competing to prove our radical bona fides to each other. That's not politics. That's just wasting precious time, which I agree with. I mean, like, why are we trying to be like, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but I definitely see people online. They're like, what really ticks me off about Zoran Mamdani is that he's not supportive enough of Palestine. His positions on these things are like, he basically, when he asked the question, does Israel have the right to exist? He says, yeah, but not as a Jewish state, as a secular state where everybody has equal rights. That's not a perfect answer. It's definitely better than anybody in American politics is going to say. And for some of these people on the internet, that's not good enough. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. And I have these, and I'll brag on myself. Like, I have these conversations with, normies all the time. Mm-hmm. And I say stuff like, when I try to get them to understand social, I'm like, you're telling me you hate socialism. You don't want socialism, but you already live in a socialist country. You're just not getting the benefits of it. Mm-hmm. I tell them stuff like, these multi-billion-dollar corporations, like these corporations that are
hello to your cat.
I know she's crying about whatever, but these corporations that are international conglomerates, mm-hmm. Think of the worst ones you can think of. Starbucks, McDonald's, Walmart. They have Amazon. They have stores all over the world. They have classes where they train their employees how to go on public assistance, how to get food stamps, how to get WIC.
Walmart was famous for that.
Yeah, how to do all that. So what you're saying is that we as taxpayers, we are subsidizing, which is socialism. We are subsidizing these private companies' payroll. So we're effectively shareholders in these corporations, and we get no return on our shares. What are we talking about? Mm-hmm. Like that's socialism right there. It's just that you don't see the benefit of it. Mm-hmm. We pay and that's how I've said this before. That's how libertarians like get hatched out of their weird egg, is because they
We lost Robert for a second. Just to kind of like look at the article really quickly, and I'm going to kind of like read on through it. The article goes on to say, and you can find it on, like I said, Jacobin.com. Bernie Sanders has spent much of the last 8 years touring the deepest red parts of the country. Earlier this year, for example, he held a rally in Wheeling, West Virginia, where he told a packed room that West Virginia is a, quote, working class state. That should stop electing politicians who serve the billionaires. That simple message, delivered in a place where left-wing politics don't normally leave much of a footprint, is exactly what we need to communicate, as the as yet unconvinced, all too often the left, forgets that this is the point of our politics. At protesting conventions and reading groups and organizing meetings, one sometimes gets the uncomfortable sense that instead we're competing to show off the depths of our radicalism. From maximalist slogans about abolishing police, which not necessarily against, but abolishing the family, that's sort of silly, to debates about identity politics or Palestine or the role of the Democratic Party, the same dynamics keep playing out. Leftists have become excessively concerned with proving our radical bona fides to each other, or even with gaining the approval of the tiny faction of the American public with positions to the left of standard issue democratic socialism. Amid the grandstanding and one-upmanship, it's easy to lose sight of our real task to win over hundreds of millions of ordinary Americans who currently stand somewhere to our, well, I wouldn't say they necessarily stand to our right. They don't have a political commitment of any kind.
No, they absolutely don't.
That's where I would definitely disagree with Ben on this point.
I mean, the only reason they stand the only reason they're standing to the right is because
that's where the mainstream.
The United States government has always been right wing and fascist since day one. Like, again, this is a country that you're going to tell me is looking out for the best, the needs of its citizens, but this is a country that had people working for free 99 since day one. Yeah. And, they're trying to get back to that as quickly as they possibly can. That's the thing. And understand when you see the pushback in mainstream media, talking about, these ICE raids are terrible. They're doing farm raids. They're out here, kidnapping people from in front of Home Depots. The guy on CSNBC or whatever, MS Now, whatever they call it now, he's not crying.
It's good, actually.
He's not crying. He's not squirting tears for the humanity of these people being sent to the gulag. He's squirting tears for capital. He's squirting tears that their labor can no longer be exploited, and get as close to slave labor as we can possibly get in this country. That's what they're crying over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, it really is like one of those sorts of things where if you can get support, like if we work for it and if we fight for it and if we talk about it with regular people, and like you said earlier, you're not necessarily interested in the Zoran thing or any of that because you've been there before, and you've seen it go belly up enough times. But I mean,
it's like it's like this to put a I was thinking about that. So what would that look like in my wildest dreams? So in my wildest dreams, the DSA in New York would be like, it'd be like, hey, Zoran, we're all gonna vote for him to be mayor, and then we're gonna do the rent freeze, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So when that doesn't happen, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get enough people in the city to do a rent strike until the New York City Council freezes the rent, until we force them to do this, because the landlords will be like, because there's not enough sheriffs, there's not enough cops to evict everybody. Mm-hmm. So if we do a rent strike, yeah, they'll get some of us, but we'll wait them out, and they'll have to bend to our demands. So that's the kind of the backup thing. So if he do both, yeah. So if Zoran Mondami falls down and bumps his head and gets a TBI and turns into John Fetterman, we have a backup plan ready to go to get that agenda that the people of New York City voted on to get it accomplished.
Yeah. But again, like, you can't skip the step of, like, here's where I think it's kind of an important issue. You can't skip the step of including doing the way, like following the rules a little. Like you need to exhaust all of the following the rules parts before you can start breaking the rules. In order for normal people to understand, like, oh, this stuff is messed up. Like, if people already do have that sense, I think if you do start skipping that step, then people are going to be like, well, why didn't you do the normal thing that they always do? You know what
I
I mean?
agree. I agree with you in like quote unquote normal times, which there's never been normal times here in
Yeah. Oh
America.
no, things are crazy right
But I think this is where you just start breaking the rules. To be honest,
I think
like
that, the breaking the rules isn't I think that is necessary, but how do you get to the point where you could break the rules, quote unquote, and get away with it and
I think we're here.
popular for it? Not on. I mean, I don't.
You don't think so? I mean, that's a real question. You don't think so?
I think that on the right, absolutely, that is the case. On the like everything left, then this everything like beyond, like to the left of the center right, I think that there is still sort of a sense, because a lot of the people that fit in that space, the people that do have ideological commitments, the people that and people that are in media and talk about these things for a living, they're like, you know what? We have stable enough lives that we know that we can survive this, and we have the ability, at least to a certain extent, to say that to essentially vilify the change, to essentially vilify the left, because that's the real enemy, right? The actual like justice, the actual social changes that are necessary, that's what both the right and the center right want to prevent. And I do think that there is still enough sway, at least in the center, like the center, like the liberal Democrat side, where they can still cut stuff off. So you do kind of at least need to have the Zorons fail. Like that's kind of a necessary prerequisite. Have the AOCs fail for you to be like, okay, we tried everything. Now what do we do? You know what I mean?
I guess, but I could be
I mean,
zoomed in.
You might be right, and I'll be wrong.
I'm just saying, I could be zoomed in way too far. But you take a look at these town halls, and just like these people are one step away from throwing rotten tomatoes at people, at the politicians, Democrat or Republicans, trying to get clout off or whatever. And then you look at stuff like the I've Had It podcast, where it's just like Oklahoma white women who are just like righteously losing their mind. And I'm like, these aren't DSA members, dude. These aren't PSL members,
The wine moms are flipping. Like, you can see that this is happening in real time. Like when Jen and Pumps have decided that, like, you know what? We need to talk about Hassan. We need to talk with him because he's a viable political future. Also, he's super cute, isn't he? Which is very funny. But like that is actually a good sign that we are moving in the right direction. We just can't give up, and like if we, and I never said you were giving up or anything.
No, I have revolutionary optimism, but actual revolutionary optimism.
We're seeing
optimism in electoral politics.
Yeah. Well, I think that there is more possibility than people. And I don't think it's not the anchor. Again, we've talked about this how many times. It's a front in the war that you're not the general of, I'm not the general of, but we understand that war, that front needs to be manned at least. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I mean, it just won't be manned by me because
that's exactly right.
Yeah. I mean, we take things like the No King's Day protests, which complete waste of my time. But if that got, not even kind of, it absolutely cringe. Like I wouldn't be caught dead at such a thing, but I will not poo-poo the people who do go, because the people that we can peel off from that and radicalize them, that's the whole point. And there's going to be so many people that they're never going to be right. They're going to think that doing that was, let me give you a good.
We did it. We did the protest. Let's go home. We declare victory.
Right. Let me give you a good analogy of this. And I use this story a lot because it kind of, it gets to the heart of liberals, right? Of my beef with liberals. So I have liberal associates, acquaintances, whatever, back a million years ago when I had a Facebook account. This dude that I know, if you live here in New Orleans on Esplanade, on Elysian, across the street from the Phoenix, which is a gay bar, there's another gay bar called Mags. Apparently some chud was going down there over and over again and harassing queer people and trying to fight them, right? So
I know Mads is a good bar.
Yeah. And so this guy who's an acquaintance of mine put on Facebook, he had pictures of the guy or whatever that people took, and he's like, this guy's down here harassing queer folk. We need to do something. We can't call the cops. The cops know about it. They're not going to do anything. And so my thing was, I said, hey, you want to start going to Mags after work? I get off at work at 4:30. It's a 5-block walk from my work. I can go there every day and nurse a PBR, and we can wait on this guy. And the next time he shows up, he could play catch with these hands, right? And then that guy was like, "Oh no, I don't want to." I'm like, "So you just put a hit out on this man righteously is what you just did, but you want somebody else to go do this for you. You don't want to be involved in it." And to him, and I had somebody explain it to me. It's like, "Well, Robert, the thing is, like that's his. He thinks he's doing a thing." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's liberals in a nutshell." To him, that's activism. To him, he thinks he did.
Telling the manager.
To him, he thinks it's a Star Trek episode, and we're the command staff, and he's not even him. I'm supposed to go down there as Captain Kirk and give an impassioned speech, and he's going to see the error of his ways. Absolutely, that is not how the world works.
Yeah.
So don't put that out there if you're not ready to do that. And so that goes into my thing. It's like, why the No Kings protest and stuff and lib-coded stuff like that is a complete waste of time. It doesn't do anything. But if we can get one person out of there to become radicalized, then it was worth
the thing.
It was worth
That's the thing. So like the protest itself, like it's telling the manager, it's like, calling command or whatever. But like I actually had this conversation, and I think it's still up in the air point. Like if DSA, for example, is going to the No Kings protest, what should their priority be? And that priority should be find the people who could get with your program, you get them in your doors, and you move them towards you.
The DSA is a perfect, I mean, and a lot of people who in our friend circle will call the DSA like just one step away from liberal. But you know what? The DSA is a perfect place
for drug, right?
It's a perfect place for like the I've had it podcast moms to land. Yeah. I could completely see them in a DSA meeting.
Yeah,
100%. So that is 100% further than where they were a day ago. I completely agree with you.
And so like what needs like there, and again, not necessarily at the center of planning it, not really doing the work of creating the event. These things come up either spontaneously, which is somewhat true, or they're engineered by the Democratic Party, which is much more likely. And but they kind of have to keep some kind of like strategic distance away because the Democrat brand is so toxic. If people are like, this is a Democrat thing, people not want to go to it because it's dorky stuff. But like, if you can get enough normal people, or if you can get enough people who are sympathetic to your program out there that are sort of foreclosing on what the Democrats are offering, at least the mainstream Democrats, you can move them and you can build them and you can have that program be built up. And it's not going to be clean. You're going to have to argue with these annoying people at the DSA meetings because they're going to have their stupid ideas that they're coming with, whatever. That's just part of the work, dog. Like, that's just like my job for a living is to go to people's houses, knock on their door, and educate them on what a union is about. That's not easy for everybody. There is a process. There is a science. There is an art to it. There is a method. And it is one at a time. It is building up. It is finding leaders. It is finding people who are going to step up. And it is getting people who are going to take leadership and start running these things by themselves. That is what organizing is. It's not like going to your book. If you have a book club, that's cool. If you want to read Capital, that's awesome. If you want to read Ho Chi Minh or Mao or any of these people, God bless. But like, that's not the same as talking to somebody and getting them to do something tangible, getting them to sign a petition, getting them to go to a city council meeting, getting them to sign a union card, getting them to do these things that are concrete. And look, the book clubs and all the other stuff, that's like level 37, Thetan or whatever. Exactly. Like, you're high up in the system. But like, what you need to do is find out how to engage people who have no real. You can't really hit people like completely cold. You need to have like some kind of lead. But like, you need like, if you have a sign, if you go to, by the way, if you're going to one of these one of these No Kings thing, you don't have a QR code, you don't have a sign-in sheet, you don't have something like that, you're not doing it right. You need to be out there, you need to be talking to people, and you need to be getting their contact information. You need to be following up with them and making sure that when you do go out there and you do hear from people, or they, fill out the form or the QR code, they get a call from you within 24 hours. Because if you don't do it, they're going to be like, oh, okay, I don't care. Like, it is actually super critical and super time sensitive that you do that. Sorry to go on an organizing rant.
Please go on.
Like, there is so much of like what leftists do that is like, you know what I'm going to do? You know how I'm going to solve this problem? I'm going to talk about it on Twitter or whatever, like I'm gonna...
Yeah. No, people want actionable steps. Yeah. Like they just want to be told, like, honestly,
before you go to the No Kings protest, you need to have that in mind in your plan for the thing.
People want to go to a thing, be told what to do, and then be able to execute that without a lot of muss and fuss. What they don't want to do after a long day at work of going to non-consensual meetings is to go to another meeting that could have been an email.
They don't want to be arguing about whether or not like endorsing Zoran Mamdani is like fit for this revolutionary struggle or whatever the hell. They want to be like, okay, we're doing the thing, we're endorsing Zoran. How do I go canvas for him? Where's the phone bank at? How do I get involved?
No, that's right. And it's the tyranny of like leaders lists or whatever. I can't remember what that maxim is, but that's exactly what it is. Like, people need and we saw it. I mean, that's why we're getting so hyped up about it, like getting so emotional about it, because we've seen this with our own eyes. Like, any kind of activism I've ever done, it's like nobody wants to. It's the same thing when I told you the story about the bar. Nobody wants to take responsibility. Nobody wants to be the leader because we've all been told that leaders are bad. But people don't have the bandwidth to sit at King Arthur's round table and do direct democracy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Leaders don't just like show up out of the blue. They don't fall from the sky or from a tree. They are forged like steel. Like, you need to actually build them up and hone them and create them into people that know what they're doing. And okay, I will say this. Socially, like, people who are like leaders in a social setting or in a social group or whatever, there are translatable skills, and that's awesome. However, there are definitely very like important principles that you do need to implement and teach to people so that they can use that influence that they have for good instead of for evil, or for neither good or bad, but just sort of like chaotic, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it boils down to. People want to feel like, people don't want to join one more social club, one more meetup.com. People don't want to feel like they're having their time wasted. They want actionable steps to get material change in their life. And without that, they're going to, with the best of intentions, they're going to burn out on whatever socialist book club that you're running. And it's like, I know it feels like we're coming down hard on socialists, but it's like, no, it's because we should be better
if we didn't care. Yeah, we do this out of love. We don't do this out of like, screw you. We want to see this thing succeed. And like, look, man, I've been in leadership at 2 different CSA chapters, and I know that I've screwed up a million billion times along the way. I'm talking about when I'm talking about leftists that have screwed up along the way, 90% of what I'm talking about is myself. Like, straight up. Like, I am not excluding myself from this. You see what I'm saying?
No, I see exactly what you're saying. And it's just like, it's the idea that we think these things are just going to organically happen. And they're just
that is fantasy thinking.
It's not going to happen. Like, yeah. The one day, like, people aren't going to install the revolution chip and like all of a sudden just hit the streets. Like, that's not going to that's just not the way these things ever work. There has to be a top-down leadership that's going to make the important decisions, and we're just going to have to trust that we put the right people in charge. That's how it's going to go down, and it's not going to be an equitable thing to where we all have equal say. It's not. We need more people running the food than we need chefs in the kitchen.
I would quibble with a little bit of that. Like, I think that like how you select these leaders or whatever can be a little bit of like people's voice being heard.
Yeah, but it's called representative democracy.
Yeah. How it's supposed to work. When people have these positions, and I've seen this happen in the past too, like, man, when you see all these people that are like, how do we hold AOC accountable? How do we hold Zoran accountable? How do we hold, all these elected officials accountable? There are people within DSA that are like, how do we hold our leadership of this DSA chapter accountable? And it's like, dog, your targets are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's like, there is like ways to do that, and it is engaging in the system. It's like, in a lot of cases, I've seen it happen. People who are critical of a leadership will run for their steering committee or whatever, and they'll get their spot in there, and they learn a lot of lessons, and some of them become great leaders themselves. So, like, it is a process. It is a never. It's quite
that
frankly
comes
a never
with
ending struggle.
Yeah, and that kind of thing I think can be. A lot of that can be shored up with transparency of how decisions are being made, because I don't
experience too. I mean, quite frankly, experience is the big one.
Personally, in any kind of organization where I'm the cog in the wheel, I'm the grunt, and I'm the one doing the legwork. I can put up with I don't know if everybody else, I can only look at things from my perspective, but I can put up with a lot of suck if you can explain to me why the suck is necessary. Like, look, we know, and you don't lie to people. You don't call things. I hate corporate speak. I work at a job like that all day. I don't want to have things called opportunities. I don't want to have that kind of language. I want you to tell me, look me in the eye and tell me this is going to hurt. This is going to be bad. But here's what's going to be at the end, the other side of it. And here's why we can't avoid the hurt and the bad. And then you look me with a straight face and tell me that we're all in this together, and you don't insult my intelligence, that this thing that we're all going to try to aspire to, it's going to be some pain to get there. I'll run through a wall for you. But when you start telling that lie about like, this is a great opportunity we have to do whatever, and you start making decisions without expressing what the consequences of those decisions could possibly be and how they could go wrong, I just feel like I feel insulted, and I feel like I check out of situations like that. And maybe that's like the old Marine in me. I don't know.
That becomes also, so like, again, one of the most important things that you mentioned just in what you were just saying right there has to be trust in those leaders in order for anybody really to do the work that needs to be done, as sort of like, decided upon strategically through whatever process, be it democratic or not. Like, the thing that needs to happen for people to comply with that is that they need to trust that what they're doing matters, and it's for good reasons. Because if you start getting that feeling that it doesn't matter, or it's for bad reasons, or both, that means you're not going to be putting your back into it. That means you're not going to be doing it. You need to actually have, and this is why I kind of do believe in a lot more of the democratic stuff, just because, like, at least you can say, hey, we had a process, we decided this, this is the plan, this is the strategy, we laid it all out here for you, maybe not all of it, but like the key important stuff is laid out here for you, for everybody to see. We voted on it, boom, let's go. Then, like, you can have a pretty strong argument for this is why we're doing it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of saying the same thing.
I'm agreeing with you,
except for the vote. Yeah, it's just the idea of I'm not honestly in a situation like that. I'm more of, I don't think everybody needs to have their input heard and addressed, but as far as voting for decisions, like, nah,
not everybody.
I don't know. I think about it like Star Trek. In Star Trek, in Next Generation, when Picard had a tough decision to make, he would get the command staff. The command staff would sit around a oval table, and then everybody would give their opinion. Everybody would give their thoughts. They would disagree, agree. Picard would push back. Picard would listen to them all. But at the end of the day, he was the one that made the decision. And he made that decision with all the information that he gathered. And that's how I think effective leadership should be done. But that's just a different leadership style. Because when you start doing even if you start doing direct democracy, man, and everybody
no, the leaders carry it out. So like what ends up having to happen is, like, I think that like the way that it does work in that way is, I think that's legitimate, right? I've worked in situations where, the steering committee or whatever, like, votes on the thing and people trust them. And I've also seen it in such a way as like the job of the leaders is to present, this is our plan, this is our strategy, this is why we're doing it, and people would vote on it. That's their way of buying in. And if you are going to vote for it, if you are going to buy in, we expect you to volunteer. You just committed in 2 ways. And I think that's there's power in both, there's necessity in both, and I don't think that those two approaches are at odds necessarily, not entirely.
Fair. Like I said, I have to look at it through the lens of just like, I'm a little more authoritarian than most. Whatever. And I don't have, and again, maybe that comes from my own desire to advocate responsibility, but I don't have a problem leading either. It's just that I want everyone's input, but I will take the responsibility when things go pear-shaped if I'm making the choices.
I will also say this part too. When it comes to sort of like these differences, again, like it's good that we're talking about it. At the end of the day, like it's not very much different than like, oh, are we going to be reading Ho Chi Minh this week, or are we going to be reading Mao this week? You know, like it's kind of like a very small difference that it's legitimate to talk about. And I think I mean, I'm a friggin' nerd, right? Mm-hmm. I enjoy talking about these things, but like at the end of the day, what's much more important is that the work gets done. I don't like it as effectively as possible, not that it gets done this way or that way. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I think to what you're saying is, because I'm trying to craft this message, like, because we're both kind of subtweeting around the DSA right now, because we both have extensive experience with the DSA. And it's like, I want a situation to where like somebody who's super jazzed up from going to a No Kings protest walks into their first DSA meeting and they instantly get to plug in somewhere. Yeah. And it's not like they're sitting here having to listen to, a bunch of people doing Robert's rules and they're saying, hey, this is what we're doing on Saturday.
Let the nerds and the organization handle that. Like, for real, let the nerds handle that and let people just deal with it otherwise. I will say also, we've talked about DSA a lot. We've had people from 3 different caucuses on this show who are running for leadership. Many of them did get on leadership, so shout out to all of them for their addition to the MPC. I'm thinking of Francis, I'm thinking of John, I'm thinking of Christian, I'm thinking Kareem. Like those are folks that have definitely done the thing to step up and become leaders. And I do think it's important to me. Ashik has been on the show in the past. Mm-hmm. I do think it's important that we have a dialogue with those folks. And like we kind of like make sure that we're checking in with an organization like that and making sure that we're as a show plugged into what, because there's no more established sort of like left movement in the United States right now than the DSA. It's the biggest, largest organization of socialists that exists. Like them or not, that's just what's up. And I do think it's important that we that's why I focus on it. That's why I'm a member. It's important to at least know what they're up to, whether or not you agree with it. Right. And I think that's part of what we're going to be seeing on the show going forward.
Yeah. And to kind of close out, we only got a couple minutes left, is that I wanted to say, we talked about leadership a lot, but also, when you do plug into organizations like this, you also have to learn to be like a good follower. And that's again, I'll toot my own horn and be like, you tell me to do something, I might have a disagreement with it and we can talk about it later. And if it's not such of a disagreement that I'm willing to walk away from the organization, I'm going to carry it out. And going back to being an old Marine, there was a maxim in the Marine Corps of just like a excellent, well thought out plan with no zeal has no chance of success, but a half-cocked plan done with maximum effort and maximum zeal has a great chance to succeed. And so you've got to learn how to take orders as well. So what I mean by that is like leftists have one of our problems is we're such like independent thinkers and this and that. And it's like herding cats to where nobody wants to hear about the DSA meeting. The general meeting is not your place to sit up here. And if you really have some kind of house on fire thing that you think is going to be paradigm shifting, please share it. But nobody's here to hear your feedback on every single little thing. And that's all
that for your podcast.
It'd be like, yes, write that in your bullet journal. Write that in your bullet journal. Tell it to your cat. Save that. Put it in the DSA Discord.
Say
Nobody
it on
wants to hear
community
that right
radio.
now.
Say it on community radio, 102.3 WHIV.
This is not the place for it, because look, people don't want to be in meetings. What they want to do is they want to take action. They don't want to be in endless meetings all day. And honestly, that's wrecker behavior, and that's right out of the CIA COINTELPRO handbook. So if you want to be an unpaid Fed, then go and nitpick every single little thing that your local leftist activist organization is doing, because that's what the guys who are the feds who are actually trying to infiltrate your organization, that's what they're doing. I mean, it's literally out of the handbook called wrecker behavior.
It's literally better to just stay home and not go to the thing. Quite
seriously.
Like, I don't mean to be a hater about it, but one of the things I've also noticed in that situation, sorry to mean to jump in front of you.
No, go ahead.
But like, I've also noticed in that situation, and it's not all the time, but it's a lot. It is like reliably like 90%. All these people that have like so much to say, they have so much like, they have so much of like analysis problems with this or that or whatever, they're the same people that won't knock a door. They won't do a phone bank. They're the kind of people that want to be critics and not get in the game.
God, and I hate knocking doors. I hate knocking doors more than anything on earth. And I've knocked so many doors in my lifetime because I thought it was important, but I absolutely hate it. But yeah, no, that's what it is.
It is important, and you probably did great work.
Thanks, I guess.
I'm validating you, pal.
Yeah, just nobody. Don't be a
knocker. As a professional door knocker, I'm sure you did fabulous.
Oof, thank you. I appreciate, but yeah, every time I absolutely just hate it. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So I think we're about out of time here.
Yeah, man. Like I said, check out our interviews with all the folks that are now on the MPC. Not all of them, obviously. I put a lot of work into those interviews. I thought it was really cool to be able to talk to all those folks. And I don't want to comment too much on DSA convention because it was there was a lot of negativity coming around it, especially in the live social media of it all. But like, look, man, I'm keeping it positive, and if you want to see drama, go to twitter.com.
Yeah. Revolutionary optimism overall.
Yeah. And then the other thing also is, like I said, check us out on WHIV 102.3 FM. Check us out on this space. Check us out on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch. Good Morning Comrade Radio. Robert, anything you want to say before we say bye-bye to the people?
Don't schedule meetings that could have been an email.
Yeah, don't do it, and don't yap. Like, don't look.
Also, no, seriously, this is a serious thing. We're reforming the DSA right now. You need to have a thing to where somebody because you're talking about working poor, the working class, who will never be able to make a DSA meeting, but they can check a Discord. They can check a forum somewhere so that they can show up and plug in without ever having to go into meetings.
It's an accessibility question.
Absolutely.
Like literally, like it is an accessibility question. Yeah. You have to meet people where they're at.
Because if you can go to these meetings, you do have a certain amount of privilege.
Yeah. Well,
you might think you don't, but you do.
No, you definitely do. Well, thank you so much to everybody listening for listening to Good Morning Comrade. Like I said, this is WHIV-LP New Orleans 102.3. You can find me on Twitter at Eminent Prof. Follow the show on Twitter. You're posting again at Comrade Morning. Yeah. Thank you so much to everybody for listening. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.